In a world where Gen X women are literally trying to understand menopause and just survive out here, and Jesus must be the center of everything we do so we don't end up in jail.
We want to reserve a place where we can address our hot flashes and most definitely everything the Holy Ghost has laid on our hearts, all at the same time.
I'm Michelle.
I'm Elena.
So come on, let's talk about it. Hello.
Hi.
How are
Welcome
you guys?
back.
How are you guys doing today?
What y'all doing? How y'all doing?
We're doing good.
Whew, girl.
I am. I'm over here yawning like I
Right?
need a nap.
It's nap time. That's what the problem is. I was like, Lord, help us.
I'm 47 years old.
Ooh.
It's always nap
It's
time.
always nap time. I know. Yesterday, we literally laid around till like 10:30 probably. I woke up at like
That is
9,
shocking for y'all.
9-ish. Yeah. Well, it's not for me, but it is for Kelton. We laid down around probably like 10:30. Well, then we get up and we're trying to, I told you it was like bathroom cleaning day yesterday. And if you've ever been in my bathroom, then you know why that's a big deal. The shower is like, it takes a minute.
It's the size of a guest bedroom.
And there's two showers. Well, he cleaned the shower in the guest bedroom bathroom, but
Which is just as big.
yeah. Kevin Johnson says it's like a drive-through car wash in there, and I'm just like, seriously? But the shower is like floor to ceiling. It's not just like,
Yeah.
I died 3 times cleaning the bathroom.
You gotta have something.
I do. I went to Lowe's and bought this brush, this cleaning brush with this big long handle on it, and then it's got a squeegee on the other end of it so you can do the water down off of it. It's like a broom handle.
Okay.
Long. And so yesterday we used that, but I still died 3 times trying to get it clean. And then there was, not to mention, the toilet and the countertops, both countertops. And on my side and the ginormous tub in there, I'm not complaining. I love my bathroom, but I just don't like to clean. And so those things happen when you have stuff, you have to clean it. But hairspray buildup on my countertop.
It's for real.
I mean, I was literally in there with the little craft scraper at one point, like, I'm serious.
You know what breaks it up like real
Please tell me,
quick?
because
Toilet cleaner.
like
You
the
know, like the
squirt-in
stuff
toilet
that you
cleaner?
squirt on the inside of your toilet.
Stop.
If you like just drizzle it on your counter and rub it, it takes it right off.
Oh, you could have told me that
I
before
just
today.
learned that not so long ago.
Holy moly.
Yes,
Yeah.
like soap scum in the tub or whatever.
Yeah.
Like I'll sling it around in there, and then I'll take the brush, slick. Like it takes
Okay,
all
well,
the
there's that.
It takes
She-
the
now
junk
you
off.
tell
I
me
don't know
that.
what's in it. Whatever's in it is enough to clean your dirty toilet. So
After I died 3 times cleaning the bathroom yesterday. And then Kelton has an errand to run right when it's time to start cleaning our
course
bathroom.
he does.
And I was like, I feel like you playing
How
this, Kelton. I
convenient.
feel like you playing this.
how convenient. Next time y'all do it, you should be like, "Oh, I'm gonna need you to take care of this because I need to go run and get
I gotta go somewhere.
my grocery order ready."
No, he really did have something he had to go do. And he did scrub the one shower, but it was rough times. And then we had a fancy Valentine's date last night
Yes, we did.
because this weekend's Valentine's weekend.
We ate so much it hurt.
Oh my goodness! Listen,
Y'all, that food, let me tell you, was so
it was
good.
marvelous.
So good. I couldn't stop eating bread.
That bread, that butter, that whipped butter,
Oh,
and those
y'all.
whipped potatoes, y'all.
Y'all.
It was like top notch.
so
Top
good.
notch. Yes.
Yeah,
So here we are today,
it was
and
20 pounds heavier.
right. Oh,
Here we
had
are today.
great church today.
We
'cause today
did
is
have great
Sunday.
church. Oh my goodness.
And we have a service this evening, which we don't
we do.
usually have. So we're
It's
like,
not a service.
it's kind of, yeah, it's
It's like a meeting.
yeah. Like an equip.
When you say service, it
equipping?
makes me feel like what I'm changing
Yeah.
into is not going to be appropriate.
No, so it's not a service. It's like a equipping training.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it's Brother Mark Morgan, so
So it's going to be good.
yeah, it's going to be amazing.
Yeah,
Because
it's gonna be
today was
good.
amazing. So anyway, there's that. So I'm excited about that.
Definitely.
We've had a lot going on.
Yeah.
A lot going on. Good things, but a lot going on.
Good things.
Yeah.
I agree.
I survived work last
been
week.
busy.
That was a miracle in itself.
That's a miracle.
Miracle occurred in my life because it
Yeah.
was an audit.
That's a miracle.
I thought I was going to die.
Yes, she did. But she didn't. clearly.
But I didn't. I made it.
She made it.
So here we are. And we are still answering questions
Yep.
from our brunch. Mm-hmm. So we have a few that we're going to cover in this episode.
Yep. And then we'll finish up in the next one.
Yes. And then we have our first, guest episode of the year was the panel brunch.
Yeah.
We did that one.
Yeah.
But our first actual
In the
guest
studio.
coming to the studio, doing all the things is going to be 3 episodes, the third
Yep.
episode from today.
Yep.
So, or this week. So that's going to be
exciting.
So fun stuff to come there. I'm
wait.
excited for that.
Yeah, it's
I'm
gonna be
excited
awesome.
for all of our guest episodes this year.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, so the last time we were going through the questions and we had some left. So we had one that was specifically for Carly.
Yes.
Who was one of the guest panelists at our brunch.
Right.
So she is going to be a guest at some point on our podcast this year.
Yes,
she's
she
already
is.
agreed to it, so she can't back out.
Because she's awesome.
And
go, Carly.
so
You're my new best friend. Not really. No. But you are.
we talked about that yesterday. Was that yesterday or day before? You were leaving me a message, and we were talking about how when you're best friends with somebody and
Other people
other
get
people
offended
call you
because
their
they
best
think
friend,
they're
or
your
they
best
think you're
friend.
like there can only be one, and they get offended, or they get upset, and you're like, oh yeah.
Sorry.
Anyway, it's just funny. But yeah, I feel like some people can have a lot of best friends.
Yes, most definitely. Because friends are different. Now you're gonna always have that one ride or die.
Yes. Yes.
Like this is my ride or die right here. If I'm dying, I promise I'm probably on the phone with her. If I'm riding, she probably on the phone with me. I'm just saying.
Listen, my best friend Kim, who
See, how she just goes sit right in front of me and call her best friend.
But you know this. You know this because we 30 years into this. And you talk about the ride or die. I'm the one that's always dying on the phone with Kim, and she's the one come on, you can do this. For 30 years,
so awesome.
She's been, carrying me. So, yeah.
She's awesome.
And then here we come, and we're just like the hot mess express. And so now Kim has both of us to pray for, not just one of us.
Poor Kim. Y'all remember Kim when
Y'all
you're praying.
remember her in your prayers.
She's so awesome.
Oh, goodness. But anyway, so the first question we're going to address today was addressed to Carly. So we sent Carly a text and asked her the question.
Yeah.
And she went into her prayer closet for some days and fasted. And I'm saying that being funny, but she really, she did think on it and answer us back. So I have her answer. So I'm gonna read it and do that for the first question today.
It's a good question.
And I forgot my glasses in the house.
Oh, my word. Do you need my bifocals?
Right when he cut the camera on, I was like, oh, my glasses are inside. So I am going to hold my phone away. Oh, actually, let me just do this.
Bless her, Jesus.
Look at that. I can do it like that. So the question was, as a mom, parentheses, parent, what can you do besides prayer to help your child not to fall into the temptation of stepping out into sin? Seeing that you both were in church as you had stepped out, is there something that you feel like happened to you as a preteen, teenager that triggered the desires for the things of the world, that maybe there was something your parents could have done better to protect or prevent you from doing so? So in a nutshell, basically what this question is saying is, as a parent, obviously prayer, but besides that, what can you do to help your child to resist sin, to not fall into temptation, to not fall into addiction, to not take the wrong path? And, what could be done better? As a parent, what can you do better? Or what are some preventative things? So that, oh my goodness, that was the question. And so the answer was, so she says, from a young age, I was ostracized by the girls that I went to church with. And it got worse as I got older. This created deep insecurities within me that just grew as I got older. I am just now forming healthy relationships with women at 30 years old.
Wow.
As a teenager, my mother wasn't very open to talking about things with me. She's very old school. Check, my mom is too. She couldn't understand why I did the things that I did. For example, sexting. This is running rampant.
Yeah.
Runs rampant in our youth today.
Yeah.
Keeping in mind that I was raised by parents who grew up without internet or cell phones, they were raising the first generation to have cell phones in their hands as preteens and teenagers. Sexting and other things were a brand new concept, and I know that my parents did the very best that they could. She was very upset and took it personally when I acted out. She's talking about her mother. There was a disconnect there, and I felt very isolated, misunderstood, and punished. I felt like she did not understand or want to understand. She just wanted me to act right. I know that she did the best she could, and she is a wonderful mother. I couldn't speak to the past or say that I would have went a different route, but I do know how I felt during those times. She goes on to say, my parents did everything, all caps, they could to prevent me from getting lost in the world. In the end, this is what brought me back home. Sometimes you do all you can and you do the very best you can, and your child still chooses to find out for themselves.
Wow.
I know that my parents raised me up in the truth and prayed many, many prayers over me. That is the only reason why I'm not dead or spending many years in prison. You have to trust in the Lord and know that you did the best you could.
Yeah.
The Bible says, train a child up in the way he should go, and when he is old, he won't depart from it. So, first of all, this answer is very profound, but also kind of simple on one hand. I feel like sometimes as a parent, we hold ourselves responsible for choices that our children make as adults that we didn't have anything to do with. We do the best that we can when we raise them, and not always. I've made some bad decisions as a parent, so I'm not saying that we don't, but I'm saying sometimes there comes a point in time where I feel like we hold ourselves responsible for certain decisions our children made, especially if we tried to raise them up in the church. I've seen this happen, and people are like, I failed, I did this, I didn't do this, I didn't do that, and it's just a whole barrage of guilt and shame when it's just like she said, you do everything you can, but sometimes they're still going to make those choices. But the way you bring them up and the way we train them up, eventually it's going to come back around.
Yeah.
And we're not going to depart from that truth.
Yeah.
I know that's what happened to me. I was raised up in it. My parents did the very best they could. I just made terrible choices. But that training never left me. That raising in the church never left me. And it did come back, and God did raise it back up. So,
and doing that is, and being that parent that instills that into your children, we're doing that knowing that when it's put in them, it's there somewhere. But I think also as parents, whoever's asking this question, you also, it's not my mom and my parents or my grandparents or the people that raised, it's not their fault that I got lost in addiction. I made those choices. And so while we can pray all the prayers in the world, we also know, Raymond Woodward says that, Proverbs is a book of probabilities, not things that we know for sure will happen. It's a book that says, if you do this, this will probably happen.
Yeah.
And so when we do what we need to do, and it will probably happen, but it doesn't change the fact that as a parent, you did what you needed to do. You instilled the things that you needed to instill in them. At the end of the day, it is left in there. It was just as possible that I would not come back to God, that I would.
That's good.
Even with all the prayers, I had to make that decision. So as a parent, I say this because I can look at it from two perspectives.
Yeah.
As a parent, you can't, my mom can't blame herself for my addiction.
Right.
My grandparents can't blame themselves for my addiction. It's not their fault. They didn't do anything that made me go there. I made that decision.
Sure.
Just like I had to make the decision to come back. That's beautiful how Carly said it, that that was also the truth, and everything that was poured into her is what made her come back.
Right.
Sometimes that's not the case. Mm-hmm. Sometimes they choose not to come back.
Right.
But if they don't choose to come back as a parent, it doesn't mean your prayers are not still a memorial. It doesn't mean that God still does, that he's not hearing you. Keep praying, keep pushing, keep reaching, keep seeking, don't give up hope, I guess is what I'm saying. Because if you're listening to this and your child hasn't come back, but you did pour into them truth and you poured all those things into them, don't give up hope, because that still lingers out there. Even if they've chosen not to come back, it's still possible.
And, you know, even before I got lost in addiction, I was raising teenagers. And even to this day, they're grown adults. The youngest was she 25? Good night. 25 and a 29-year-old, or almost 29-year-old. She will have been in a few weeks. And so they still will tell you, if you ask them, is there anything that you can't go to your mom and talk about? Is there anything that often they'll be like, nope, nothing.
Yeah.
Because even before addiction, because I have an old school mom, and there were just some things that weren't really talked about, weren't really discussed, and weren't really, she'll tell you now that I wish I would have been more comfortable talking about that. Was it her fault still? No, absolutely not. I made those choices, and I was going to probably make them either way. So I'm not saying that, but I will say there is value in having an open line of communication with your kids.
That's good.
Where they are not afraid to come to you with whatever.
That's good.
My kids and my husband now, we were dating at the time, and he would just laugh because I have one daughter that lives here and one daughter that lives in Louisiana. But even the one daughter that lives in Louisiana, I remember it was a Hurricane Laura, I think, came through, and their apartment they lived in at the time got damaged. Their little house they lived in got damaged. And so my son-in-law was in Louisiana trying to fix it, it was my granddaughter and my daughter. And so they came and lived with us for a couple months. I think it was 2 or 3 months, I think, because they had to, have somewhere to go. And we loved having them. But it was almost like old times.
Yeah.
I would come in from work or be doing whatever, and she'd be like, Mom, I need to come in the bathroom. They would come in there, and she'd be like, I need to talk to you. Because when they were teenagers, that's what we would do. I would say, if you have something that you need to talk to me about that you can't look at me, it's too embarrassing, it's too then just wait till I go take a bath or shower or whatever, come in there and sit down, and there's a shower curtain. You don't have to look at me. Well, you don't have to see my reaction.
That's cool.
To this day, both of my kids will do that. Emily would come busted in the farmhouse. Kelton, where's Mom? She's in the bathroom. Oh, good. I got to go talk to her. Mom. She would come in, sit down. Mom, I got to talk to you. Don't stay in there. I got to talk to you. They still will do that because they knew that no matter what it is, I can talk to my mom and she's not going to get mad, or she's not going to fly off the handle. She's not. And there were some times where I had to really, really get my bearings, believe me. But I created that with them because there were a lot of things that just from the generation she came from, my mom wasn't comfortable talking about. I wasn't just the generation, how they're raised. It's not.
She didn't have an answer.
I have a great mother, but there were just some things that were kind of like, you don't be comfortable asking that question. So have an open line of communication with your kids. That's so true. To where they don't feel like, I can't talk to them about that. Yeah. Oh, what are they, I feel like that's really important.
It is important. It is. You don't have to stop being a parent or just become a friend to have that either. Right. Like a lot of parents feel like, oh, I'm not going to do that because then they won't think of me as their parent. That's not true. No, because I have that kind of relationship with all of my kids because I've always had that mentality that if they don't feel comfortable coming to me and talking to me about the hard stuff, they're going to talk to somebody else that's going to have the wrong answer. Yes. Definitely the opposite of what they need to do. Exactly. And I always wanted them to feel like they could come to me. And so that was always just like what was in my head. But you can still maintain that parent-child relationship and them trust you. Yes. That's important.
And
I agree.
You know,
you couldn't have said anything better.
we're from the South, and I'm from Louisiana, so we do things a little bit different around there. But I have a host of aunts that, hallelujah, I have a host of aunts that I'm close to, several of them. And I always knew coming up that if it was something that I was like afraid to talk to my mom about or didn't feel like I could go to one of them.
Yeah.
And if it wasn't threatening my life or if it wasn't something that just really, really needed to be relayed to my mom, they weren't going to betray my confidence.
Yeah.
Now, there was a time or two where they would look at me and be like, no,
you know, I'm going to talk to your
Elena,
mama.
you know, we have to go talk to your mom about this. Or if you don't want to go, I'm going to go tell her. But it was like almost like a relief because I didn't have to.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if your kids just are adamant and don't feel comfortable, help them find someone that they do trust. Maybe it's a sibling, maybe it's a family member, but there's gotta be, maybe it's a youth leader, maybe it's somebody that they can trust to go to if they just really don't feel comfortable talking to you. But it is possible to create that kind of relationship with your kids to where they'll talk to you about whatever.
100%.
So that's important too.
I agree. Let's see what this is. What are some practical things to do when you are preparing to get married, to prepare yourself to be a wife? Wow.
I feel like you asking that to two people who's still learning that.
Girl, you ain't lying.
We were sitting at dinner last night, and I don't even know what got said, but I made the guys to Matt and Kelton, and I'm like, and y'all think y'all got it bad? Y'all really?
Yeah.
Y'all really didn't get it that bad.
Yeah.
I don't remember what we're talking about now, but it was funny. But yeah, our husbands, they under a load.
Pray.
Just know they need prayer.
Pray for Melton.
Yeah.
Pray for Melton.
We're all posing, taking photos outside of the restaurant last night, doing all the things. And, you know, and then, of course, like, we have to take a photo together. And then we're like, y'all want a photo, Matt and Kelton? They're like, no, we're good, really. Like,
we just need to get in the car
and
already.
then the valet guys at the car are like, what are these people doing? Y'all, we're a whole thing when we go somewhere together.
Look, preparing practical things to do when you're preparing to get married and to prepare yourself to be a wife. You know, I did it the wrong way so many times. It's hard for me to hard for me to be able to just blurt that answer out. But I will say on this side of things, I never trusted God. I never put that decision in his hands. I always took that decision upon myself, which is probably why I've been married 3 times. I ain't trying to put my business out there, but I mean, that's just my story. It's part of it. And I wish I had, and it wasn't because I didn't have anybody in my life telling me to. It was because I was stubborn, and it was because I was not operating in the spirit. I was operating in the flesh, and I just always felt like I get to choose. I want to choose. It's got to be my decision, and this and that. And obviously we see where my choices have got me. Well, I say that, but I have beautiful children that came from those decisions. So I don't regret my children. However, I do know that God called me to ministry at a young age. And so I feel like whoever you marry has everything to do with the trajectory of your life. And if you think it doesn't, you're very, very wrong.
Yes.
My cousin's daughter is in Bible college right now, and she was dating someone, and recently her mom had told me that they were just dating. It wasn't anything serious, but he broke up with her or broke things off with her. And I was like, why? I thought they would look so cute and blah, 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 blah. And she said that when he found out her major, that what she was majoring in was missiology and missions was where God was calling her, he didn't feel called to that. That's not where he was feeling called. And he didn't want to 2 things, stand in the way of where God was sending her if he wasn't a part of that.
Right.
And also he didn't want her calling to affect the way he was leaning when he didn't know yet specifically where God was calling him. And I was like, that's such a mature
Very
thing.
mature. Yeah. Oh my goodness.
Such a mature thing for like somebody that's in their late teens or early 20s. I don't know how old this kid is.
I feel like that's...
But
Wow.
There could be no greater thing than that right there. Like, God has a purpose and a plan for your life. So in the preparation of who you're going to marry, in the preparation of where you're going, like that direction, the person you're with matters.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does.
And it matters for you as much as it matters for them.
Yes.
It's not just about, are they going to be able to stand alongside you while you're in ministry? Are you going to be able to stand alongside them?
Yeah.
Because if it's not your call or what you're doing isn't their call, it will very much affect the direction that God wants you to go in. So, I mean, preparation wise, I think that these things come by prayer and fasting.
Yes. and like, I always tell people, know who you are.
Yes.
Before you link up with somebody else or,
Yes, it's important.
Know who you are. Know what your standards are. Know what you like. Know what you don't like. And that doesn't mean that at some point, whoever God puts you with, that those things won't shift or change.
Yeah.
But know who you are first.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget being in recovery, and I was more than halfway or better through it. It was a 1-year program. But I had, I was almost 40, and I had been in a marriage for just shy of 20 years that ended terribly, ended in an affair. I was very hurt, which led to addiction. And then I got into a 4-year relationship. Thank goodness I didn't marry him. That was... there's no word to even describe the horror, the horrificness of it and the trauma of it. And so then after that, I was like, I'm done. I don't need to do this.
Yeah.
But I'll never forget one of the ladies, the ministers there. I was in classes with her and in healing with her. And God spoke through her to me one day. And I wrote it down, and I still have it in one of my journals from that time. And God said to me through her, I have a man for you. I have a husband for you. And he is going to be older than you. God was very specific. God said he is going to be older than you.
That's so cool.
He is not going to have a story like you. And he's going to have a testimony, but he's not going to have a story like you. But the most important reason why I'm giving him to you, and there were 2 things, is because he is going to know how to love you like you need to be loved, like you should have been loved. And he is not going to be afraid of your calling, nor will he be afraid of your testimony.
Wow.
And when I tell you today that I have been married to that man for a little over 3 years now.
Yes, she is.
I am and I have. And God was true to every word of that promise.
Yeah.
Because if you know my husband and you know me and you're around us, you know that that man loves me.
Yeah.
And he loves all of me.
Yeah.
All of my story. But he is also not afraid of the things that God has called me to.
Yeah.
I've watched him.
He's not
afraid to step back and say, hey, this is yours. I support you in this. I love you in this.
Yeah.
And your husband does the same for you.
Yeah, they're not threatened by it.
No,
It's
they
not-
don't feel threatened by it. But they are also not afraid to stand in their callings and walk in their callings and say, this is what God called me to. And then here we are supporting them.
Yeah.
It's a very healthy balance,
It is.
but it is one that we have had to learn how to walk out.
Yeah.
And I say we because we're close enough. I feel confident in saying that because we've
Absolutely.
talked about that. And there are things that but when I tell you God knows what he's doing, but he has to be the one
Yeah.
to put it together.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie. We were talking about this last night. I wouldn't have chosen Kelton.
Me neither.
I was talking about
I wouldn't have chosen Matt.
No, I was talking about the first time I saw
Because
him.
if it was a loser in a 100-mile radius that was
Yes.
going to abuse me, tell me I'm
Treat
ugly
me
and
horrible.
fat, all these things, girl, I was going to be like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh,
He's the
look,
one. He's the one. I can change
So
him.
perfect.
He has potential.
Oh, he's going to
I
love
can-
me enough to change.
Yes. Yeah, right. No.
Dumb.
Yeah. I was talking about that last night. The first time I ever saw Kelton, my first thought was, oh, wow, he's very clean cut. He's very handsome. And my next thought was, oh, he's way above my grade. Like, he's way above anything I'm used to having. I was like, this ain't gonna He gonna find out what's in here, and he's gonna be like,
he just gonna find out. We're just gonna leave it at that. He gonna find
I
out.
got to go is what he was gonna say, but he didn't because God had a plan.
Yeah.
So definitely know who you are and be grounded enough in the Word, and have a heart that is submitted to not only God's plan, but wants to be submitted to whoever God sends you.
Yeah.
Because
and pray for your future husband.
we talk about submission a lot.
Yeah.
It was hard. Sometimes it still is hard. Not because I don't want to.
It is hard.
Not because I don't want to, just because when you've never done it the right way, you got to learn some things.
You do.
Don't be afraid to be wrong. Don't be afraid to have to communicate about some hard things.
Yeah. Don't run away from problems.
No.
Stick it out.
Yeah. Because it's worth it. And it's beautiful when God puts it together.
It is.
I think we both agree on that.
It is.
Anyway.
Last question.
So yes, and whoever you are, we're going to pray that God sends you, if he hasn't sent it already.
Yes.
Him already. We're going to pray that he sends you.
Oh, Lord.
This question's got your name written all over it.
Oh, Jesus.
How do you balance ministry and family time?
I'm laughing because my husband's
I wish
head
I could see her husband's face
just
right
popped
now.
up like, yeah, Michelle.
Yeah,
how do you
do
balance
that?
ministry and family time? Look, I feel like whoever wrote that didn't write that for me because they probably look at my life and see that I don't. Wow. I mean, that's a hard one because I feel like I fail at it. There's days when I feel like I've got it under control and there's days when I don't. And I think that's probably how most people probably feel.
Yeah.
There's times when I'm going hard, and that's usually about the time Pastor called me up to the front and he's showing out in front of everybody. I'm just kidding. Calling me out, telling me I need to stop or this or that. No, he does, but he does it because I need it. And
he's always right.
Yeah. I think that in the forefront of our minds, we've got to have family is important. And I think that if we're not careful, we forget it's our first ministry. I don't have any young children anymore. My children are all adults, but they all live at home. And I'm not complaining. Matt probably is, but I'm not complaining because I know those seasons are going to change and there's things in the future that are coming. But I do have 2 young grandchildren that I watch every day. And so life can be busy. Yeah. And I will say this, my most stressful times, or the times when I feel overwhelmed the most, are when I don't find that secret place, because it's that time in prayer. And I'm not talking about I pray every day, but if I don't take myself and pluck myself out of the busyness of what's going on and get into the real presence of God and get lost in that, it's easy to feel overwhelmed. And make no mistake, if you're juggling family and ministry, that's exactly where the enemy wants you to feel, because that's where you're most ineffective. If I'm saying that, you cannot be effective when you stand in that place, because you're trying too hard to make everything work. And nothing's working. And essentially nothing's working. Yeah. But it's possible, but I think that you have to go into it knowing that there is no perfection. You got to figure out how to say no, which is, I'm laughing because I don't know how to say that.
Say that word.
I'm learning. I'm trying to learn. I'm trying to do the hard thing.
Better.
I'm trying to do the hard thing, Elena. I'm trying.
You're getting better.
One tiptoe at a time.
Sometimes I have to say no for her.
Because it just depends on what kind of person you are. I'm that kind of person. I want to help everybody.
Yes.
And if you're helping people at the expense of yourself, I'm learning this, literally, personally learning this. When you help people at the expense of yourself, then you're really not helping anyone at all, because you're draining yourself. You got nothing to pour into your family. And then you got nothing really to pour into anybody else. So it is important that you're discerning with what you take on. I said this last night at dinner. I've got to start implementing in my own life helping people or doing things in ministry, I guess you could say, but helping people that really want help.
Yes.
I think we're in ministry and we want to work for the kingdom and we want to do this and that and the other. But I think we have to sometimes slow it down and say, okay, does this person really need help?
Right.
Yes. Okay. Does this person really want help?
Yes.
Because we can put our time and our energy into all these people who need help, but that's not the same as someone wanting help.
Right.
And if we're not careful, we will get consumed with someone who really doesn't want help. And you said it, there's a line of people waiting on the other side that really do want help. So if you get bogged down and you get overwhelmed, sometimes it affects your spiritual vision and you're making decisions you shouldn't make because you're taking things on you shouldn't be taking on. And the whole time your family's sitting there saying, where's your time for me? When are you going to love me? When are you going to? And so it's just, I think, to assume that you're ever just gonna have, there's no textbook for it, is what I'm saying. You have to walk through it spiritually. Yeah. You have to walk through it with a prayerful life and a mind that's set on Him. And so there's that. With that comes discernment and where you can make better decisions. I mean,
absolutely,
I could do better.
I think that's probably true for a lot of people. Like you said, I don't know that you will ever have it ironed out. You get better at it.
Yeah.
But also, and I've watched this personally just because you and I work together in recovery ministry, but you have ministry or ministries that I don't have. There are things that you are called to do that I'm not called to. And that's the way it is in the kingdom. But I also watch your husband a lot of time. I say a lot of times. I've watched him on multiple occasions. You're being pulled away by someone or something.
Yeah.
However, he is in the Holy Ghost and discerning enough to know that person needs her right now. She's doing the Lord's work.
Yeah.
And so he is, and I've watched him do it over and over. And so he will step back, or he will know that plans have to be canceled, or he will know that schedule has to be rearranged. Is that seem fair? No. Are there a lot of men that would do that? No. That's why it's so important to make sure that whoever you marry and whoever you link up with and you're called to ministry
and start that family with.
Yes. You better know that they're from God, because if they're not, the enemy will attack your marriage.
Oh, yeah.
And whether you have it's worse if you have small children, but whether you have small children or not, neither one of us do. All of our kids are grown. But when I tell you the enemy will attack your marriage, especially if you are in the healing ministry, the recovery ministry, giving people any type of counsel or advice, or they're coming to you, you have to walk that out very prayerfully. And you and your husband have to be on the same page and in communication about, okay, this is acceptable for this. This is not acceptable for this.
Yeah.
And that takes a lot of patience and a lot of communication sometimes, because sometimes there are genuinely people that God will put and say, they really do need me right now.
Yeah.
So this is going to have to wait. Then there are more times than not when people will come and you don't want to tell them no, but you have to say, or if you're me, you just walk up right with her and them and be like, hey, we got to go do this right now. And she's done. I have done it. And she'll turn red. Her neck gets real red and her ears get real red. And I just lead her off. And Matt is usually standing behind her or somewhere near just laughing because he wanted to do it an hour ago and couldn't. So I'm that one. And I'll do it, in love, but I am the one that will do it because I love her and because she's my friend and because I know what she's called to. And Pastor has said it before, and he's not wrong. My job as a co-worker with her in the kingdom is to protect her at all costs, because I know that she has a heart that wants to help everybody. And I want to help everybody, but my personality knows when to say, I'm sorry, I can't do this right now. She does not have that personality.
Nope.
God put us together for a reason.
Yeah.
Because sometimes when I want to be brash and bold, and she'll say, now, Elena, let's hang on a minute.
Soften it up a little bit.
And she'll tell me, and you know what? I do. I try to do my best to do that. So we balance each other out in that way.
Yeah.
But I am that one that will say, no, that's not time for that right now. She needs to go over here. She needs to go enjoy this. She needs to go do this.
Yeah.
But then on the other hand, she'll be that one that'll say, okay, Elaine, don't cut their head off today. Let's just love on this person a little bit.
Cut or chew.
Yeah,
I'm just kidding.
We'll be like, so we balance each other out. But
Yeah.
that's why I believe that's why God put us with each other, because
sure.
we're able to do that and do it in love. And both of us can receive it from the other one and
Right.
not be offended.
Yeah.
And our husbands are just over there sitting in the background waiting on us to get finished because, we were supposed to leave 3 hours ago. So anyway, that's how we do that. But yeah, it's definitely a delicate thing to try to
Yeah.
find a balance there.
Yeah, you got to work at it.
Yeah. Anyway,
Well, that's it.
well, that's it. Yes.
It is.
We did that.
We did that.
Thank y'all for joining
We
us.
love you guys.
And we're going to catch you next time.
See you next time.